This game's not won on social media. This game's not won on telephones. This game is won with shoulder pads, helmets, mouth guards, and sweat. That's how the game is won.
Welcome to the Bill and Lisa's Coaches Show, Episode 4, Part 1, show sponsored by Dick Lumpkin's Auto Body. Coach Nice, Indians get a nice win over Greenville on the road, 35-7, in a game that in the first less than 3 minutes, we put 14 points on the board, sent a message real early, came out on with a real assertiveness and certainly field position help, but boy, it helped to get 2 touchdowns on the board right away.
I think it did. I think it was good for us to come out offensively and be able to score. We have not scored any points in the first quarter up to this point all year, and for us to be able to go down twice drives, and then for our defense to be able to go 3 and out both times, I thought was great. I think Ray Sean helped us quite a bit with his punt returns, set up a great field position. Also, I think Josh Heath helped us a lot with his kickoffs, that he was able to pin them back in a corner and they weren't able to get out and turn the corner like a couple of teams have been able to do on us. So I think both of those special teams kind of led up to a lot of our field position.
Coach, you talk about Rayshon, but go back to the conversations we've had in years past, that punt return, or at least even catching the punt so it doesn't roll, that gives us now plus positive yards, and we were in a position where we had a great return by him, and we're deep in their field territory, and we were able to make some points out of it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the importance of punt returns and the importance of special teams as a whole is probably most prevalent, in our program, and the fact that if you look at our helmets very closely, we give small dots for different types of individual performances, and for punt returns, we give a dot just for catching a punt, just period for catching a punt.
That's the importance,
and that's how important it is for us. Everything else. You've got to have to do this, and it's pretty hard to do. But just the fact that you catch a punt for us, we'll decorate your helmet as much as we can.
Well, I know the guys tonight were in the locker room decorating their helmets, and there was certainly, you could tell there was a good mojo in the locker room with that, and there's a good reward for that. And
yeah, it is. Those guys enjoy it. It's been a great tradition for us to have those helmets. The more you get, the wider your helmet turns, and it's a pretty good ritual for us on Mondays. That you come in and we get the dots, and everybody looks at the grades and looks at all the performances and things like that. Defense is more graded on performance. Output. Offense is graded more just on a lot of assignments, a lot of things of those nature. The other thing that was nice is we had we name an award after John Apple, one of our former coaches, our former offensive line coach, and it's a big hit award. And we have not even thought about giving one out in the first 5 weeks at all, in 4. And in this week we gave out we had 6 bomb hits.
Oh wow!
And so we're pretty excited about that. The guys are kind of looking forward to being able to get that big hit and get out and do some things that are a little bit maybe above than what they normally can do. Before
we talk about the next one, Coach, the couple things that I noticed as the game went along, we showed some success with our run game, but also a little bit with our pass game. Jericho Burns gets in for 3 touchdowns. Kai Warner runs 1 in, and then the game ends with a 29-yard touchdown pass from Kai Warner to Carson. One notable thing, Carson made a great move, and there were several moves that he made to get to the end zone, but I noticed there was a lot of good blocking that was happening along that way.
There is.
So what I saw in that play, not just a great play, but you could see, you talked about football intelligence we talk about that every week. You can see those things really starting to come along.
And I really think that our receiving core has done a really nice job of grasping the situation that, you're not going to get the ball every play, but there are tons of things you can do to help us be a better football team and to get those blocks downfield. And there's so many times that you sit on a Saturday and you just go, man, if we could have just got that one block, that could have got us out there. We get out of the smoke and you're out there in the open field if you can just get that one block. And I think we've got that mentality brewing from everybody that they're the block that's going to be the key block. Defensively, we've kind of always preached the same thing, that if I don't make the tackle, nobody's going to make the tackle. I got to be that guy. And that's what I think gets our kids to run so hard to the football all the time. And I think that same mentality is starting to play out there, with our offense on the perimeter.
Yeah, our football team certainly is, offensively and defensively, really making progress, and you can see that as you're talking about film and going over it with them on Saturdays, you can see that they're putting back into practice, not just during practice time or training time, but also during games.
Yeah, and what you see on the film is who you are, and we make no bones about it. We produced a couple kind of dud movies at the beginning of the year, and not really a box office success, so to speak. But I think as the weeks have gone on now, we're starting to produce better film, and I think that's the key. That where you start and where you end is the important thing, and we got to remember that process. Every year it's a little different. How did we get here? What was a turning point? Those type of things.
One of the things that noted, again, they're small things. You and I were standing on the field after the game was over with in Greenville, and we're watching our guys celebrate with the band as they traditionally do when we win. And it is enjoyable to see the smiles on their faces and that they genuinely enjoyed it. And whether you take it for granted or you didn't take it for granted, that it was clearly that they enjoyed that moment, and it makes you want to do it again.
It does, and you finally get, if you're going to work that hard, you eventually have to get that little bit of a reward and be able to use that then to keep yourself motivated. But you got to give these guys a lot of credit, as they kept after it for 4 weeks. They kept going for 4 weeks, and they kept working. They kept coming in here every day with great leadership. They come in here, and I believe it or not, they came in here with great confidence, because that's one thing that I will not let them not have confidence around here. I think they work hard enough that they've got to be confident when they come into a game on Friday night. And every Friday so far, they've come in confident, and will continue to do that.
Well, the first half of the regular season is now in the books. We move and shift into Week 6, and Week 6 leads into no better game and no better way to open up the second half of your regular season than against Troy, and what is known as the most played rivalry in the state of Ohio. We know that. It's the 139th meeting. Nice to get a win as you go from Greenville. Still, we're in the middle of a 3-game road stint here. So we stay on the focus on the road, but our focus now shifts from Greenville to Troy, and we know that this one's a big one.
It is. The series is tied, and I think the players all understand what's at stake. I think they know what's going on. They look at the Trophy sitting in the corner. Every day when we're in meetings, it's behind me. As a constant reminder, and based on today's performance at practice, I think they're ready to roll.
Coach, it's one of those games that since they've been young, they've been hearing about it. It's not even just in our communities. It's people outside of Pickle and Troy, people all over the state, they know what this game is. I like the fact that we talk about it. It's not something that, it's there, but let's just not. We address it. We talk about it. It's a rivalry. It's a series that's tied. If you think about that part of it, it's amazing that you think it's 66, and 6 after 138 times you play.
Yeah.
Usually there's a landslide one way. It's that close. So the fact that we address it, I think that really, before we talk about the Trojans specifically, I think that's really important that it's okay we talk about it.
Yeah, and it's something. There's some reminders around, and everybody deals with it. And we also have a rivalry with Sydney, so we deal with that. When it comes, and I know there's maybe some older people in the community that kind of embrace more of the Sydney thing. So when I'm talking to them, I'm talking there, and then some other people people want to talk about Troy, and the fact remains that whoever you talk to, there's a rival somewhere. So somebody's going to try to get you. And then in the meantime, you got probably 3 or 4 other schools that we really enjoy playing against. So it's almost on a weekly basis we can kind of whip ourselves into some type of rivalry situation. But in this case, it is for real.
Yeah, and it is no doubt. And we're going to talk a little bit about Troy. Troy is they are 4-1. They are coming off of a tough loss against Tip. We are, again, people will say, and there's maybe a bit of a cliche, you and I have talked about cliches, but you can throw records out the window when 2 teams like this, but the matter of fact is they're a good football team, as we are. Our records, I don't think, if you would ask Pickwa's record is an indicative to who we are, and I'm sure that they know that. What's your perspective on Troy 4-1? What should we see from them? They got their coach who's been here for the second year. Are they doing a lot of the same things, or have they changed things up a little bit?
I think they're doing. The answer is both. I think they still have their basic roots on offense and wing T. I think they've spread out a little bit in terms of what they're trying to do offensively. I know last year they had 2 or 3 different guys playing quarterback. I think this year they're pretty established on what they're doing at quarterback, and I think that helps you out. So offensively, it's a combination of the wing T, and a lot of times if you are a wing T team, you do have a little bit of a change of pace offense, and I think they have that. Defensively, they're very sound. They're leading the league in a ton of categories. It's the same type of defense they played last year and a couple years previous. So they give you pressure. They play very good, sound defense. They're not going to beat themselves on defense. They're going to keep after you until you make a mistake on defense. So got a work cut out for us on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they're a team. After we played them last year, they won. They finished 7-3. They had a good year. Started out obviously this year with the same mentality. They got a strong back who returns for them, who's pretty good. Defensively, they have given some teams some trouble defensively as well. Yeah,
their defensive front is very good. Probably one of the better fronts, if not the best front that we're going to see in a while. I think those guys are good up front. I know Xenia's got a good defensive line up there also. So it's going to be a game in the trenches. It's also going to be a game in the perimeter because they've got some people that can fly around to the football. We've got some people that can fly around to the football, and hopefully we'll be able to make some things happen. On both on offense, defense, and of course last year we had a couple of big plays on special teams.
Yes, I imagine special teams. You talk about this week in and week out big plays. Who's a team that who can produce the big play or help contain what that big play is, and certainly taking care of the football.
Yeah. Special teams will be big. As you never think it will be. Then all of a sudden, something hits. And I know Friday night we were a little disappointed. We had two penalties on special teams, and one of the things that we do not want to ever do is have a penalty on special teams. It's so repetitive, and there's so many. You just want to make sure it's a ball possession type deal. You want to get the ball in the best field position as possible. But if there's a chance that something can go wrong, just I tell them don't block. Don't block in the back. Don't take a shot that you might not have taken. Just be it's a special team. Let our offense get on the field and deal with it. Let our defense, whatever the case may be. And so that's one of the things we had to clean up, and deal with today.
Coach, let's shift our conversation to our senior spotlights today.
Okay.
Tate Kuhlman and Romen Medley, both guys receivers. You talked about our receivers and the tons of things that they can do if they're not going to be involved with the direct pass from the quarterback. Talk about those two guys, because I have seen those two, and particularly those guys, really start to insert themselves in the last couple weeks, not just necessarily with catches, but blocking.
Yeah.
And seeing other things that they're doing.
Well, start off with Tate. Tate this is his first year of playing. I mean, he's been on the team for 2 years. He's paid his dues, worked really hard in the JV program, comes in this year and he's our holder, which we kind of took that for granted. Brady Old had been our holder for 4 years, and we didn't realize that there's an art to that thing. That you really got to practice
right.
and get it going. And Tate has really taken that by storm. So we're really happy with what he's doing with that. But more importantly, we're really happy with what he does as as a receiver. He is a blocker. He's a ball catcher. He does a lot of things for us out in the perimeter. Two-sport guys. Also a great basketball player for us, and probably one of the smartest. Great in terms of GPA. At our high school. So he's an all-around good athlete, good student athlete, and I'm very happy that he played his senior year and didn't get discouraged and say, hey, I didn't get my shot. And I think him, along with Romen and along with Carson and a couple of other receivers, they're enjoying great senior years, and it's their first opportunity to do it. Now, on the other hand, when we talk about Romen's another two-sport guy. He's been in the program, it seems like forever. He's been at our camps forever, and great track guy also. And he's just a guy that battles injuries a little bit. Always, has always something a little bit wrong. But we tease him about it quite a bit. But in the meantime, Friday night comes and he gets it going. He had to miss the first 2 games this past year, and now that he's got his opportunity, he's ready to roll. Goes down there and does what he can to help us. Very fearless, in terms of his blocking. Very fearless in terms of catching footballs.
Yeah, both of those guys. You talk about hardworking. Those guys put in the work, and they put the time in. And you talk about pay their dues as a great example of paying your dues and being patient. And when the time and the opportunity presents itself, taking advantage of it.
And those are the type of guys, when you want to have solid special teams, those are the kind of guys you want to have. You want to have those seniors that have a little football intelligence, that know what's going on. Those crazy sophomores are fun. They're fun on special teams, but you can't have too many of them.
Right.
And I think that senior leadership is most important for us on the special teams.
Well, certainly senior leadership has been very apparent here the last couple of weeks, and will certainly be necessary for Friday night as we roll into Troy. Coach, good luck in all your preparations for training this week.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, we are going to hit part 2. We're going to talk to Romen. We're going to talk to Tate. We're going to find out a little bit about what it's like to be on the receiving corps for the Indians. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Bill Neeson's Coaches Show, Episode 4, Part 2 today. Right now we're in the players portion of the program. They're going to introduce with their name and the position that they play.
My name is Tate Kuhlman. I play wide receiver.
My name is Romen Medley. I play wide receiver.
Romen, I'm going to let you hold it for now. Romen, talk a little bit about coming off of that win Friday night. Certainly being in the locker room with you guys afterwards, you could tell you guys were obviously enjoying it, but you really felt like, hey, we finally reached the summit and got a little reward for all your hard work.
It's just nice to finally get a win after not have one all season, and I think it was a good week to do it so we can really propel ourselves next week against Troy.
Tate, talk a little bit about what it felt like to get a win on Friday night, on the road for that matter. Not only do you get one, but you get one on the road. Always winning on the road is a little extra special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like Romen said, it was just exciting, helping boost our confidence for next week.
One of the things, one of your players said to me, he said, what I really had missed and appreciated doing was after the game was over with, being able to celebrate with the band and throw our helmets up in the air. Just little things like that. Yeah. Guys, you said it this week is certainly a game that isn't one that you just wait for as the week of. It's a game that everyone talks about. There's countdown clocks in the locker room. People talk about it not just within our school, but outside our community. When you go to the grocery store, even people outside of Pickle and Troy know what this game is. What's it like for you guys to be seniors and to be a part of that game?
It's just we were able to experience it on the sidelines for many years, so we kind of found the way of how to compete and just be in that environment.
Yeah. Romen, how about you?
It's really special, There's nothing really like it in Ohio. This is the longest rivalry in Ohio?
Most played rivalry in the state, yes.
I mean,
139th meeting Friday night.
It's really special, to just be a part of it.
What's interesting, guys, is to see people like yourself who are now seniors and seeing all these other groups that have come in. And then I just had someone the other night, he played back in the 50s, said, hey, I remember when we played Troy and what that game was like. So certainly I wish you guys all the best in your preparations for Troy on Friday night. Let's talk a little bit about just pickle football. You guys have been in a situation where you're in a receiving corps, and you guys have really gotten a lot of different touches here in the last couple weeks. What's it like to really be and making a direct impact on our offense?
It's fun, but it's hard. I mean, not only you got to run the routes, you got to know the plays, you got to go out there and block for all the running backs. I mean, it's definitely not easy.
It's just nice to see the work over the summer pay off. It seems a lot easier, not easier, but more controllable to go out there and do it on Friday nights after working on it all year.
I think a lot of times people hear receiving. Coach Neese and I, we've talked about this for years. People think receiving, you just go out and catch passes. That's not what you do. I mean, you're out blocking. You've got to know routes. You've got to know schemes. You've got to know all those things. The importance of lead blocking a lot of times for people is a skill that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, it sure isn't. It's one of our main focuses. We're mainly a run team, and it's important for our team. So it's one of those important things.
Speaking of blocking, this guy Tate went and drove a guy 30 yards into the end zone for Carson Hawk's touchdown. I just had to put that in there.
Well, that was a nice touchdown. Kai Warner throws a 29-yard pass there at the end of the game to put the last score. And Carson certainly had some nice dance moves along the way, but it didn't happen without you guys doing your job. So good for you guys. Guys, let's talk a little bit about moving past football season, and you guys are going to graduate. You'll be in Alexander Stadium in a different uniform on the last Friday in May before Memorial Day. What does the next year look like for you? What are you guys thinking about in reference? Romen, you and I talked the other day about maybe track and what maybe schools you're looking at. Is schools what you want to do? Is that something? So, Romen, I'm going to let you answer that first.
Yeah, I want to try to run track somewhere, but school, I mean, it'd be nice to go, but I'm not going to be very upset if I don't. I mean, I could go either way.
Okay.
School is not necessarily my first thought, but I think I'm going to finish up at Edison, get my associates in business, and then I'm thinking maybe electrical trades after that, but not certain.
Evaluate your options after that. Yeah. Well, we talk about this several times, not necessarily on camera, but Edison is a great option. You're right across the cornfield, and you can get your education as far as if you want to transfer or if you want to get your associate's degree and get in the job market. So I'm happy for you, and certainly wish you guys both luck in your future decisions with whatever you want to do. Because whatever you do, both of you guys are good young men, are going to serve well for our world. So all the best to you, and all the best to you Friday night, because that's a big one on Friday night. It will be fun to run out of the tunnel as you guys head to Troy Memorial Stadium. Kickoff will be at 7 p.m. at Troy Memorial. It'll be the Indians and the Trojans for the 139th meeting, the longest or most played rivalry in the state of Ohio. For Romen and Mr. Kuhlman here, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week.